Hi folks, Greg here from Sykes House Farm, back here at the Tetley. Just thought I'd do something a little bit different. Mother's Day's around the corner, you might fancy a roast chicken. I've got here one of our Sones grain-fed high welfare chickens. So you could give that a little bit of butter, olive oil, salt, pepper, maybe whack a lemon in the middle. Get it roasting for about an hour and 20 minutes and it'll be absolutely fantastic. But I just thought maybe I'll show you something a little bit different, show you how easy it is to take a chicken apart and use the different pieces in different ways. First thing you need to do, you've got obviously your breasts there, wings, drumsticks and thighs sort of on the side. So we're going to take the legs off first, which is relatively simple. There's a gap in between there, which you're just going to slightly pull it apart and just run your knife down there, slightly just break the leg a little bit, run that round, and your legs come off as easy as that. You can take that sort of knuckly bit off, that can go in your gravy or your stock, then you're left with a leg. Do the same on the other side. Open that out, pop that bone there, and just run your knife in behind the bone. Take that knuckly bit off there. So there you've got two legs. You've then got your breasts. So what you want to do, there's a bone down the middle there. So you're just going to find that and then just run your knife, nice sharp knife down either side of the bone like that. Let it run all the way along the bone, all the way down. Keep your fingers out of the way. Then there's another bone there where the wing is. Knife in behind that like so. Now, if you wanted a chicken supreme, which is just a posh way of saying chicken breast, that's the wing there. You just simply, in between the bones, cut that back, and that is a chicken supreme. Now, if you just wanted a standard breast, just whip your knife down the side like that. Save your carcass, then where the bone ends, turn it over, tidy it up a little bit. And you've got a chicken breast there as well, and you've got your chicken wing. End bits can go off. Again, nice meaty chicken wing there. And plenty of bones for your stock. Now, what you'll be left with, so then we've got a supreme, and a chicken breast, two legs, and a carcass. We're going to make a soup with that, so we'll leave that there. We're going to take our chicken legs down, just where that line of fat is there, you can just feel two little bones joining together, so you're just going to whip between the two like so. So you're going to give us a drumstick there like so, and then you're left with the thigh. So just, there's a bone down the middle, just either side of that. Make a little cut. Keep them fingers out of the way. Maybe don't let your kids do this. And then in behind, scrape the meat off that bone. And then trim it up slightly. And you've got a boneless chicken thigh. So I'm just going to open that one up and butterfly it out slightly. So you're going to be left with a really thin, almost like in a scallop. So we're going to cook that one in the pan really crispy. So there you have a bone chicken thigh, chicken leg and a chicken drum. So that's all from one bird. So we're going to pan roast that one. We're going to open that one up and grill it quickly. We're going to confit the legs and we're going to grill the thighs and make a soup out of the carcass. So right, chicken soup. Now this is a really, really basic recipe, but this could be your leftover roast chicken. It could be a carcass that you've shredded and there's very little left on it. You think I'll throw that in the bin, but honestly keep it. You'll get a nice, really tasty lunch out of this. So we're going to do a really hearty sort of chicken broth with loads of vegetables, and I'm going to finish it with some pasta and some nice fresh herbs. So chicken carcass and any sort of scraps that you might have, could be chicken bones or knuckles or wings or whatever you want to use. We're just going to throw all of that into a pan. We've also got here a load of vegetables. So I've peeled them and washed them, but I've kept them really chunky. So they're going to be cooking for about an hour and a half. So we want them to cook so they're nice and tender, but we want them to be big enough to be able to fish them out at the end. So we've got some onions, We've got a nice sprig of thyme. We've got some bay leaves. We've got some parsley stalks, some carrots, and a couple of cloves of garlic. So that's all going to go into our saucepan. Nice big heavy old thing. A really good pinch of salt. So there's going to be loads of flavour in there, but we want to just give it a bit of a boost. And then of course a really good twisted pepper. We're not going to bother sweating the vegetables down or anything like that. We don't want to add any oil or any grease to this. We just want it to sort of simmer along. This is there to be nice and easy. We don't want it, you can do it in a slow cooker while you're at work. You can get it on ticking away but we're just going to cover that now with cold water. Gently bring it to the boil, and then we're just going to simmer it for about an hour and a half. So it's going to tick along. Every now and then just get a ladle, and if there's any sort of scum or any grease that comes to the top, impurities, just ladle them off and tip them down the sink. So we're just going to let that cover with cold water and just let it tick along for about an hour and a half until that chicken's cooked. So as you can see, our soup's starting to come to the boil. If you can get in and have a look, a lot of this kind of stuff will come to the top. Now, it's just any sort of impurities that might be on the vegetables. It could be some grease from the chicken. It could be just a little bit of fat that's caught up, or anything really. But if you can sort of see that there, what you can do is just scoop it into a little bowl or a jug and keep it on the side. And either when it sets, get it down the sink, or you can just tip it straight into your rubbish bin, whatever. But try and just every sort of 10 or 15 minutes, just give it a bit of a skim. And now that it's come up to the heat, you just want to drop that down to a sort of medium simmer really for about an hour and a half. So here we have our soup. It's been on for about an hour and a half. Our chicken's completely cooked through. There's still loads of meat on that. We've got our carrots, which as you can see are cooked through. Our onions are really soft. Our celery's just fallen apart. So we're going to take this over here now. We're going to cool down that chicken. Leave that out for sort of 5 minutes, and we're just going to shred all the chicken off that. So with our vegetables, this is why we keep them chunky, so we can easily pick them out. You don't want any of the bones, and you don't want any of the bay leaf or anything like that, but try and pick as much of the vegetables out as you can. With our stock that's left over, we're just going to tip that into another saucepan. Anything that's left, bones or bits of bay leaf, just get rid of it. So we're going to take our vegetables, some of our stock, just to blitz it down. So we're not going for a really thick creamy soup, we just want somewhere between a creamy soup and a broth really. It is a broth after all. So we're just going to blitz that down. Like a really quite thick, hearty soup, but we don't want to waste any of that broth. So we're going to pour that back in. So it's going to help thicken the broth, but we're going to get loads and loads of goodness there. So what we end up with is a really sort of hearty broth. I'm just going to put that back into the original saucepan. We're going to add to that, I've just got some orzo pasta there, but you could use brown rice, you could use quinoa, you could use some borlotti beans. I'm just going to add that to it, almost like a minestrone. And then we've got our chicken carcass here. Now you can see there's still so much chicken on here. So you've just got to, now that it's cooled down, these are called the chicken oysters. They're underneath the bird there. They're delicious. Just go through, take your time, pull apart any chicken that you might find on there, shred it up. And you're not going to get a huge bowl of chicken, but you're going to get enough for a few good mouthfuls of chicken, and nothing's going to waste there. So all of that beautiful chicken there, that goes in. There we have a really hearty, really rich, warming chicken soup. We're just going to finish that with loads of chopped parsley. Keep it nice and fresh. And of course, a really good twist. Tin of cracked pepper. Really hearty, really warming chicken soup for now. So we've got our chicken supreme here. That's our breast with the wing, or part of the wing still on it. So we're going to pan roast that one. So a really good seasoning. Both sides, skin on. I would always recommend cooking a chicken breast with the skin on, because chicken breasts are a little bit, I suppose from a chef point of view, chefs prefer chicken on the bone. It's just, I don't know why, there's always more flavour, it's always juicier, it's always more tender. So I'm going to start that in a really good hot pan, bit of oil, a little bit of butter. We're just going to caramelise it skin side down. So we'll get it into the pan. So I've got a little bit of cooking oil at the bottom of our pan there. We want that to just sizzle away. A little bit of butter as well, just to get that going. I think butter really helps, not just for flavour, but it helps keep it nice and moist as well. By keeping the skin on the chicken breast, you're keeping a bit of that fat in there, so it shouldn't dry out too much, provided you don't overcook it, of course. So we're just going to let that cook for a little bit, let some of that fat render out, let the skin get nice and crispy and golden. We're then going to flip it, and we're going to finish it in the oven. So I'm just going to give that a few minutes. So that's at about 3 or 4 minutes, but I'll give it a little bit longer. I want it to be nice and golden on there. So probably about 4 or 5 minutes on a sort of medium to high heat. It's a good decent amount of heat. Now you want to give it a good seal and a good bit of colour. So this has been in for 5 minutes now. See, it's started to go really golden there. That's exactly what we want. So we're just going to turn that over. That will colour up slightly more in the pan as well. Give it a good move about in the pan. We're just going to give that 190 degree oven. We're going to put it in for about, I would say, 15 to 20 minutes, no more than that. So we'll put it in for 15, check it, and if it's not quite there, we'll put it in for another 2 or 3 minutes. But the days of putting a chicken breast in the oven for 45 minutes or an hour, please don't do it, it just destroys it. So 15, 20 minutes, we'll put that in, we'll give it a try, and we'll have a look shortly. So onto our chicken breast here. So it's really starting to firm up nicely. I've been doing this a while, so I can tell that that's more or less there. I would pull that out now, give it a bit of a rest. Get that lovely fat back over it. You want it to be on the safe side, use a temperature probe, and you want to take it to about 70 degrees and then give it a rest. So I'm going to pull that out now. So I'm just going to leave that in the pan to rest for about 5 minutes. Really, really important. So leave that to rest for 5 minutes, and then we'll carve into it and see how it looks. So we've got our other chicken breast here. I've taken the skin off it. You can trim up any skin there if you like. Now, if you are looking to shed a few pounds or get ready for summer or whatever you want to call it, then this is a really good way of cooking chicken. So we're going to open it up. We've got the inner fillet there. We're just going to make a little cut there and fold that out. Turn it around. And the fattest part of the chicken there, we're just going to open that up really gently with a nice sharp knife. So you're left with almost like a chicken escargot. So that's nice and thin. We've also got our chicken thigh here. So we're going to cook them both in the same pan. Chicken thigh, remember, we opened up as well, so a good seasoning on there, especially that skin. We're going to keep the skin on the thigh. Season both sides. Good twisted pepper. We're going to get that into a nice hot pan, so follow me over here. So we've got here our chicken breast and our chicken thigh. So we're going to cook them in the same pan. Obviously one's really lean, great for salads or garlic to lose a little bit of weight or a little bit healthier. Then it's a really good option. So we're going to cook this the whole way in the pan. So that goes in really gently. We've also got our chicken thigh here with the skin on it now. We're going to put this in the pan, skin slides down. So we're going to cook that, just hold it there gently. What that will do is just help that skin, kind of like cooking a piece of sea bass or something like that. Just let that skin go nice and flat. You feel it bubbling under your fingers. We're going to cook that the whole way down, whole way with the skin side down. So we're just going to let those thicken along again on a medium high heat. Very little fat in the pan, plenty of salt and pepper, and we're going to do them the whole way in the pan, so we're not going to see the oven at all. So as you can see here, you can see it started to cook around the edge, and as for the thigh, it's actually almost cooked all the way through. You can have a look underneath, it's starting to crisp up really nicely. That's really crispy. So you just want to keep it going. It's been in for about no more than 4 or 5 minutes. Again, we've kept the heat pretty high the whole time. It's not smoking and going crazy, but it is a good heat. If you look under, the chicken breast coloured up nicely as well. So we're going to cook that till it's almost cooked all the way through, and we're going to cook this about 80%, 90% the way, so you can see, you can literally see when it's done. We're then going to flip it and seal the other side. So we're going to give that another minute. We have our chicken thigh now. I don't know if you can see there in the pan, but that's almost cooked all the way through. Our chicken breast's about probably 60% the way there, so we're going to turn it over now. You can see that amazing colour there. There's virtually no fat in the pan, only a tiny bit, and there's no butter or anything. It's just natural caramelisation of the meat, if you like. So I'm just going to turn that over again. It's not going to go in the oven at all. It's just going to cook in the pan, and that's been in for probably maybe 6 or 7 minutes top. The chicken thigh, you can literally see it's only that last little bit on the top that's not quite there. So we're going to give that another, I don't know, another minute, and then we'll flip it over and finish it. So our chicken's been in for maybe 8 or 9 minutes. We're going to flip that over now. You can see that, it's absolutely dead crispy. It's like almost like crackling, it's amazing. So that's really, really juicy. It's cooked in its own fat. It's so crispy. I don't know if you can hear it over the sizzle, but it's fantastic. Our chicken breast is almost there as well. You remember we cooked it almost the whole way without flipping it, and this shows with that little knife cut that we did at the start by butterflying these open, you sort of halve that cooking time. You don't have to turn your oven on. You can do it in a pan or on the barbecue, and you can cook a chicken breast or a chicken thigh in 10 to 12 minutes. Dead easy. I'm going to give these another maybe minute, I would say. Chicken thigh is almost there. You can probably pull them out. You can see our chicken soup's ticking along nicely as well. By the time you finish eating your tea, you've had a glass of wine, your chicken soup will be ready to finish as well. So we're going to take our chicken thigh out. So, we've got our pan roasted breast, we've got our pan grilled flattened breast without the skin, and we've got our nice, listen, really lovely crispy chicken thigh as well. So we're going to cut these up just so you can see what they're like in the middle. They've been resting, this has been resting for 5 or 6 minutes, but you can cut that into lovely slices and you can just see how juicy that is. Give it a little press like that, but that will be the most juicy succulent chicken breast you'll ever have. So carve it into nice chunks and serve it if you like, or you can take the bone off, but personally I love just gnawing on that bit of wing there like that. So we've got our pan roasted breast there, nice and juicy. We've got our chicken thigh, which is my favourite. Nice, hear it crunch. That skin is so good. Now that would be great with some romesco sauce or some nice on the top of a nice pasta. You could do loads and loads with that through a wrap, or you could spice it up and do some fajitas or something interesting like that with it. And then we've got our grilled chicken breast. If you're having a nice chicken salad, or you want something a bit lighter, carb-free, maybe with some spinach, you could do some courgette or some zucchini ribbons, whatever you want. You can keep it really nice and fresh. But if you cut into that, it's still really, really juicy. It's well rested, but it's so juicy. It's not your sort of average boring chicken breast. So we've got a grilled chicken breast, a pan roasted chicken breast, and a nice pan fried thigh. We'll come back when our soup's ready and our confit's ready, and then we'll have the whole lot. So, right, we've got a couple of chicken legs here. Well, to be accurate, we've got one chicken leg, one chicken drum, and a couple of wings. But let's just pretend they're a couple of chicken legs. So these have been salting for about an hour and a half. So a little bit of sea salt, some thyme, some bay leaf, and some smashed up garlic. So what that does, it just helps season the chicken, helps draw a little bit of excess moisture out, and sort of also acts as a bit of a preservative for getting ready to go into the duck fat. So that's been salted for about an hour and a half. You could brine it, you could sort of salt it a bit longer if you wanted to. Put some aromatics, some orange zest, some lemon zest, or anything like that into it. We're just going to keep it pretty simple for now. So in our pan here, we've got a mixture of duck and goose fat. Got just enough fat in there just to cover the chicken or whatever it is you're confit. So to confit something is to sort of cook it in its own fat, really. So we've got here our chicken legs. They've been salting for about an hour and a half. If there's any excess salt that hasn't sort of come off, then just brush it away like that, and then just gently kind of keep it in a nice shape. just sit them into that cooking oil. If there is a bit of thyme or a bit of garlic left on it, then by all means leave it on. I like to just, any skin, just fold it back over if you can to kind of protect that meat a little bit, and it gives you a little bit more crispy skin. And just get it all in there nicely. Chicken wing there, that'll be delicious. And then if there's a bit of garlic, then get that in there as well. If you find that your chicken's not quite covered, then just add a bit of cooking oil to it, or add a little bit more fat. We sell duck fat and goose fat at Sykes, so if you are running short, then just pop into the shop. We always sell it, or order it online. So we just want to cover that. We've even got a tin foil of that. And we're going to cook it in a slow oven at about 140 degrees. It's sort of between 2 and 3 hours really. We just want it to be pork tender. So we're going to cook it for about 2 to 3 hours on a low temperature, and we should be checking it in a couple of hours time. So here we have our chicken confit. So this has been in for a couple of hours now, 2.5 hours. As you can see, it's falling off the bone. You can pack that into a tub or a glass Kilner jar, cover it with the fat, and I'm quite happily keep it in your fridge for a few weeks. What I'll do with that is I'll take it out and drain it, and then tomorrow I'll just put it back through the oven on a really sort of medium heat, 180 for about 15 or 20 minutes, crisp up that skin, warm it through, and then you've got an amazing confit chicken leg, great with some cabbage, great with anything really, a nice bit of mash or some roasties, or you can shred it down through a sort of oriental chicken salad. But as you can see, that's super tender, and that skin will go amazingly crispy once it goes back through the oven. So there you go, that's the final aspect of our chicken. We've had our chicken soup, our grilled breast, grilled thigh, our roasted chicken breast, and some confit legs, all from one chicken.